He's got the little bitty baby. In his hands, he's got the little bitty baby. In his hands, he's got the little bitty baby. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. Yeah, you and me. He's got you and me. In his hands, he's got you and me. In his hands, he's got you and me. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. Yay! All right. Man, this is good. I'm so excited. I love talking about mental health, and I never thought that I would. This subject is large, basically, right? And I want you to know there's so much controversy about mental health and mental well-being. And I'm going to be sharing some perspectives with you based on my own studies, okay? However, I invite you to your own study. I invite you to think for yourself. I invite you for the prayer warriors to pray and ask God, how shall I take on this information? How will it be helpful to me? There's a principle out there that says, is it helpful? Right? So this is important when we talk about mental health because there's so many controversial ideas surrounding mental health, even whether or not mental health exists, right? So one thing that I love to do when I'm studying, when I'm thinking about how I'm going to apply something, is it helpful? Right? Because isn't the body about being in balance and in harmony? Right? And if it's not helpful, then it's harmful. And if it's harmful, then it's not from life to life, right? It's leading somewhere else, okay? And now, of course, there's some things that don't feel good, like exercise, but they're helpful, right? Some foods that your parents might make you eat or drink, they don't taste good, like bitter. My mother's father-in-law from Guyana, bitters, Kerala bitters. Anybody know about that? Yeah. Okay. Ooh. You know you better drink your bitters, right? So it's helpful for your body. Anyways, that's a commercial, but I want to share a video with you all. But before I do, I want to talk about this amazing basket that you have. No, I'm going to say that too. All right, let's look at this, some resources that you've been given. Pastor talked about these, okay? These are powerful. Just really quick, I want to highlight why they are powerful. Okay, National Institute on Aging. There are people in our lives that are senior citizens, right? And sometimes people think that a person is just acting a certain way because of their age. But that may not be true. Like some people believe that, oh, because you're forgetful, oh, it just comes with age. Did you know? Not necessarily. In fact, just because something's common doesn't mean it's right. Okay? And so you might chalk up forgetfulness to old age, but what if you actually need a supplement? Or you need to do something different with your diet or your way of living that will actually help you increase your memory? What if I don't have to just chalk it up to I'm getting older? Right? And that's the same way with mental health. Sometimes there's something going on and we don't realize it's our brain, which that's all mental health is our brain letting us know, hey, I need you to do something about this. I'm trying to keep homeostasis. I need you to do something. You're not listening to me? All right. I'll get your attention. Okay? All right, so National Institute on Aging has really good information that helps you to kind of think about, as a person who's aging, what's going on? Is this person experiencing some adversity that we need to pay attention to that don't have to happen? Okay? Did you know that a urinary tract infection in the elderly can actually cause them to have hallucinations? So, like, I didn't know that, right? But people can have a urinary tract infection, specifically in the elderly, and it can be causing them to have all types of hallucinations: audio, which is what you hear, and visual. Okay. 24-hour suicide crisis lifeline. Did you know this number 988? I hope you save it in your phone. You can actually text that number. You have a young person in your life, a teenager, listen. Statistics say that 1 in 5 people actually die from their mental health across all age groups. 1 in 5 across all age groups. So we need this information because we don't have to be afraid. You know, if the doctor told you, hey, your daughter has the flu, are you gonna go insane about it? Are you gonna, I shouldn't say go insane. Are you gonna flip out? Are you going to, pass out because your daughter has the flu? No, because now people understand that you can live even if you have the flu. People now science shows you can survive the flu. Do people die from the flu? Absolutely. But most people don't have to die from the flu. What do you need? You need awareness, right? That's what mental health awareness is about. Once I'm aware, I can now know what to do, and I can find the proper information. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm totally telling you about 988. 988 for your young person, 1 in 5 people, right? And even for adults, they can either text this number or they can call that number. And what I love about that resource is they know how to take you from a hot moment to a cool moment, okay? I've had to call the suicide hotline prevention number plenty of times, even after I taught at Wildwood, even after I've been a mental health first aid counselor. I've called that number before because things weren't going right for me, and I was forgetting how to use the tools I learned, and so I remembered the number. And they can take you from hot to cool, and you can go with your day. Most people that call this number don't wind up in the hospital. But if you do, it's to save their life. Make sense? Okay. So you can text it or you can call it. Okay, BetterHelp online counseling. Maybe your circle is too small and you're like, I don't want to go to that counselor because they know my mom. I'm not going there. So you can look at BetterHelp and find somebody. Also Psychology Today, which is on here. NAMI is a wonderful resource because that is a resource that can help break down different diagnoses, talk to you about all types of classes, and things so that you can really study with NAMI.org, okay? Pain Unwasted, that's us, yay, painunwasted.org. If you want classes, you want to do physical first aid training for your school, for your hospital, for your business, I'm your girl, I got you, okay? You can do that with us. All right, and these are classes where you'll actually be certified with the National Council for Mental Well-Being. So it's not just, Mia made me a certificate. No, this is something legit that you can have, you know what I'm saying, and you can use it for resumes and things like that. But more than that, you can use the information to help save a life if you need to, right? Okay. All right, and then I saw this, and you all may have to check this one out because I'm not from Columbia, but I wanted something on here. And this is Three Rivers Behavioral Health. And the reason I put it on here because they said you can schedule a no-cost assessment, which is good. I can call and get information. And they're not going to charge me to consult with me about what's going on, and the number's there. They also do walk-ins, and appointments can also be made. They respect your privacy. And what I like is that on their website, they had a lot of person-first language. Everybody say person-first language. So that's what Victor was talking about. I'm not retinal detachment, right? I have retinal detachment. I'm not diabetic, even though people say it all the time. I'm diabetic. No, you have diabetes, right? I'm not schizophrenic. I have schizophrenia. Does that make sense? Right? Or I had schizophrenia, right? Because actually you can recover. How about that? Isn't that awesome? Okay, so those are the resources that are here on this paper. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to go through. I'm going to show you a video, and then we're going to talk about it. And I'm not sure how it's going to show, Thank you. So this video is called Depression Doesn't Always Look the Way You Think, okay? So I want you to take a look at that. And tell me what you think when we look at it. These are some resources we have, we'll talk about that later. So she said, just want to let you know, Ricky took his life last night, and Ricky was the line saying, "Good morning, you caught it. You caught it. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sabbath. Woo!" Right? So depression doesn't always look the way we think. So the question becomes, and I love this question that was brought up, is so what is mental health then? You know, and what does it look like then? If it doesn't just look like the person shaking a pill bottle, angry, talking to themselves on the street all the time, then what does it look like? And you know, I was so surprised when I found out what it looks like. And so I have a slideshow up here, and it's going to talk about some of the things we can look at when we talk about mental health. But I like these tips for caregivers. That's what Victor was talking about. And this is what I want you to remember. You can take a picture of it, but it's important. This is what we need, right? We need to, one, become aware of what's going on. Because when you're aware, hey, you got a book in your nose, I can do something, right? I want to recognize toxic patterns. What are some patterns that people go into, right? That can be helpful to identify strategies on how we're going to correct these toxic patterns where possible, then decide to apply what we've learned, and then we gain the mastery. We actually gain it, right? It's something to be gained. Mastery. Mastery, you know, for those of you who have your masters, you didn't just show up and then bam, there you go, you got your masters. You had to gain the mastery. You had to do something to get that, right? You had to work. And mental health recovery is work, right? I think I lost it. I'm gone here. Mental health recovery is work, right? It's not just I pray it away, but there's some work that has to be done if I'm willing. Okay, and that's on the side of the caregiver and also on the side of the person recovering. And so this section, we're kind of still with caregivers, right? And we're talking about what can I do? My person is struggling, what can I do? Okay, and then edify, I'm gonna continue to build up what I've gained, right? So I'm doing a push-up challenge, and I'm learning how to do push-ups. I'm not to the floor yet. I went from the wall to now I can do it on an incline, okay? Y'all, I see some of y'all like to work out, you appreciate this. And I never thought I'd do push-ups. But I noticed once I went from the wall to incline that I was stronger, you know? And I can do it now. And one day I'm gonna be on the floor and doing push-ups. And so this is about recovery, right? We're gonna edify. Because if I stop doing push-ups, then eventually I won't know how to do it again, and start over. Makes sense? Same with your mental health. Okay. And then bonus, repeat, you can do it again. All right, so let's go to the next one. I want somebody else to read because I want to hear your voices. So if we'll go to the next slide. And on this next slide, we're going to talk about mental health. So mental health can be controversial. I was talking to someone, and some people, like I told you, they believe that, and this is practitioners, okay? People who are in the mental health field, there are some people who say mental health isn't a real thing. It's a figment of your imagination. It doesn't really have symptoms, it's not real. There are some people that actually believe that even in mental health fields, okay? There are some people in mental health fields that say, you know what, mental health is demon possession, that's what it is. People become possessed with deep, dark forces, and this is what's going on. Then you have the school of thought that believes that mental illness is an illness just like any other illness. And just like you can recover from diabetes, you can recover from a mental health problem, okay? And so when we think about mental health or mental illness, mental disease, we think about the idea that the body is out of harmony. Now, question, how would you know that you're tired? Can you raise your hands and people just shout out to me? How do you know when you're tired? What happens to you?
Start yawning.
You start yawning. What else? Sluggish. You get sluggish. Okay, slowing down. What else? Somebody over here. How do you know you're tired? Get sleepy. Your what line? Eyes are burning. Okay. You get weak. How do you know when you're hungry? Your belly starts growling. It's hurting. Your belly's growling, it's hurting, right? Anybody get so hungry you feel like you can eat your child? Your child gets some food. Oh, eat one of these kids. I'm not confessing. But, so your body is giving you and our mental health is being affected. Same thing, right? Because our body talks to us. We are fearfully, wonderfully made, and this can let us know in our body or somebody we love, something's off, something's wrong, okay? And so who can read this for me? Who, we have a reader? Microphone is out, we can get it to you. Yes, we have Mama Jeanette up here, who loves on my Aaron in my absence. Thank you. This is my heart so good. I love Aaron. He's so amazing. He's an amazing baby. He's not a baby anymore. All right. Yes.
Signs and symptoms. There are a lot of signs of depression and anxiety, but you may not have them all. How intense they are and how long they last are different from person to person. Some of the ways you might feel are sad, empty, or anxious. It will continue over time without getting better or going away. Hopeless, worthless, or guilty. You may feel bad about yourself or your life, or think a lot about losses or failures.
Pause right there, Sister Jeanette. So I want you to really pay attention to this. Now, obviously, you can find this out on the internet, right? But the reason why I want you to really pay attention is, guess what? We're going to practice. We're actually going to go into some role play later. So I want you to be paying attention, because if you're the actor, these might be some of the symptoms you're acting out for us, okay? And if you're the one responding as a person, a caregiver, or helper, you're needing to listen, let your discernment go up. What did you say? You have been slipping how long? Huh? My senses are going up, I'm paying attention, right? So now as you hear the information, hear it from, oh man, I'm gonna have to apply this in a minute, okay? So keep going, thank you.
Am I hopeless? Hopeless. You may be pessimistic or believe that nothing good will ever happen. You may even think about suicide. Irritable. You may get reckless or more cranky than usual. Less interest in activities. Hobbies or games you usually enjoy may not appeal to you. You may have little or no desire to eat or have fun.
All right, great. And so I feel that. But now, just about, well, that's serious. It's married people. So, wow. I don't know about you, just a little commercial. You see right there where it said helpless, worthless, or guilty. Feel bad about yourself and your life. Think about losses and failures. Anybody ever felt like that was a Christian experience? Like this, wait a minute, that's not a Christian experience. As a Christian, I thought I'm supposed to feel helpless and worthless and guilty and like nothing I ever do is good enough. And we even say it sometimes. No, not me. God is good, right? Right? I'm a worstly, filthy, nasty, disgusting sinner that praise God, saved by grace. Boom, boom, boom. But praise God. Have mercy. Is that how God thinks of you? I thought he said you're a royal priesthood, holy nation, right? That's our true identity. And of course, in our body, we have problems, and God is constantly working to make us new. But I just wonder if in our Christian culture, there's this holy beatdown of ourselves, and we're holy because we do that, Isn't that something? Okay, there's another slide. Sister Jeanette, I want you to read the second one for me, please.
Signs and symptoms. More. Less energetic. You may feel extremely tired and think more slowly. Daily routines and tasks may seem too hard to manage. Trouble concentrating. It may be tough to focus. Simple things like reading a newspaper or watching TV may be hard. You may have trouble remembering details. It might seem overwhelming to make a decision, whether it's big or small. Changes in the way you sleep. You may wake up too early or have trouble falling asleep. The opposite can also happen. You may sleep much longer than usual. Changes in appetite. You may overeat or not feel hungry. Why don't I ever have that one? Depression often leads to weight gain or weight loss. Aches and pains. You may have headaches, cramps, an upset stomach, or digestive problems.
Thank you. So this is powerful, right? And the reason I'm glad we read it all out is because, I feel like I was having most of the list. right? And I was like, oh wow, there's something going on with my mental health because of this. I just thought I was tired. I just had a baby. You know what I mean? I just thought I've been working late, whatever. But this is something to pay attention to. Some of you, you've been having physical bodily pain for so long. And what if there's actually another underlying issue, right? Did you have your hand up? You wanted to say something?
Yes. The top place that I want to ask.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some of these signs, and I'm thinking that some of these signs have to do with menopause. So if you're experiencing some of these signs and symptoms,
What's your
so
question?
the mental part of it, would they just ignore it until it goes away and just say that this is because I'm going through menopause, or would you have to go seek treatment for mental health?
Thank you. This is such an excellent question. So the answer to that is never ignore your body. Never ignore your body. Even if you think you already know the answer, never ignore your body because your body's talking to you. And if you have been listening to your body, right, it may stop. Does that make sense? And some things are normal, natural processes. Aging is a process. Menopause is a process. However, since you're not sure, I'm not talking about me specifically, but it's always good to check. And so that leads me to my next point, which is a great question. Your body's telling you something, you need to check. You need to check. Who do you need to check with? So remember this. Remember this because it's gonna be a quiz, right? Listen, the first person I love to check with is my primary care physician. My primary care physician, why? Because when I check with the primary care physician, they can rule out other underlying possible causes. Does that make sense? So they can be able to say, wow, let's do some blood work and see what's going on with your hormones or with your this or with your that, right? And so they will be able to let you know that. And another thing that I love about your primary care physician is that they can also do referrals. Make sense? Like, kind of like check, okay? Not this part, right? Like they can move things around. They have connections so that, hey, this isn't panning out, I want to send you to a specialist. Maybe the specialist is going to be for GI. Maybe the specialist is going to be a psychiatrist, right? But this is the thing. For those of us, because mental illness is an illness just like any other illness, we don't have to be afraid if they say, I really want you to see a therapist. All right, okay, I need to see a therapist. This is great. How can I become informed? Just like I would become informed for, menopause, right? I'm going to become informed about my mental health. I'm going to find out, what's going on. Why? Because I can recover. I can recover from the flu. I can recover from cancer. I can recover from mental health, mental illness. Recovery may look different for every person, but I can overcome this. Does that make sense? And so always listen to your body and check, get information. Another person that I want to talk to you about that you can refer to, this is about information. What am I going to do, right? Caregivers, listen, I can check with my primary care physician, but did you know there's also free resources? Let's say my primary care physician, Pastor talked about this, wants to send me to a therapist, but I feel like I can't afford one. No, it's not I feel like I can't afford one, Mia. I don't have any money, Mia. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get some groceries in this house. It's not I feel like it. I cannot do that. Did you know that there are free resources? Literally, there are people who want to counsel you so they can get their thank you, their certifications and licenses, okay? So this is what you do. You Google and you look up free counseling and find out who may be in your area. And just because it's free, don't think that it's less than. Because I remember thinking that, right? Because I'm a little, sometimes it's bougie in recovery. And so, and I was bougie poor, okay? It's not like I had money because I was a missionary, right? Like, I'm telling you, but bougie poor, like, I don't know what it's free, it's gonna be trash, but it wasn't, right? Because some of the best therapy that I've gotten was free with the counseling service. So there are different crisis services, and look, you can look this up. Maybe you know that, hey, when I was a kid, somebody touched me and they weren't supposed to, and they didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? So there are literal services just for that, where they can actually help you, and it can be free. Another free resource, or a source that may not be free, just depends, that you could pay for, or you could get for free, is a support group. So support groups are awesome because the way a support group works, we'll be in a room and we can talk. And the power of a support group is these are people who have lived experience. Does that make sense? So it's not like talking to somebody and they don't know what you're talking about. they understand it personally, right? And so in the support group, you have people who are considered like peer counselors, right? That are also over the group, and you can talk and you can share, and I've gotten so much from free support groups, okay? So these are other resources. And now for some of us, cost is not an issue, but let me tell you some more options. Maybe you might feel like, you know what, Mia, I've gone to this therapist and that therapist, this psychiatrist and that psychiatrist, and that did not work for me. Consider coaches. Consider life coaches, okay? Because all of us are different. We all are dressed different, we look different, we're all very attractive people. But one thing may work for one that doesn't work for the other. So a coach is excellent because they may not have some of those restrictions that insurance makes therapists and psychiatrists have. And they may be able to, sure enough, turn your therapy session into a Bible study, and that's what you needed. Y'all are going there talking about God and revelations and the snake and how he's trying to get you to believe lies so he can break your relationship with God. Here's another one. This is controversial. Please don't throw me out, okay, guys? Please don't throw me. At least not right now. But consider that the person that may help you may not be in your line of faith, right? They may not be Adventist. They may not even be Christian. And this is touchy ground now, okay? So I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you to think about it and pray about what I'm saying. But I have had people help me in recovery from my mental health. And I knew they weren't Christian. Nevertheless, they had studied about the mind. They had studied about physiology. And there were things that they shared with me that were extremely helpful. Okay? And so I had to eat some watermelon, spit out the seeds. Does that make sense? But there were some people I could swallow the seeds too, because we were there in the spirit. Does that make sense? So I don't know if that's confusing on me, but you get what I'm saying, right? Hopefully you do. If you don't ask me, then I'll just try to clarify. But just consider that your help may, and here's another one, especially for my people who have been to multiple therapists. I've seen multiple people and I feel like it's not helping me. Don't give up, right? I literally, for me, I think I saw like 3 or 4 people, maybe 5 at this point, and from each of them I gained something, If nothing else, I'm never coming back here because I don't like your way of doing it, And now at least I know what I don't like because I experienced it. I know I do not like it when you talk to me like I have, like I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because some people do that. They think like, even in our profession, some practitioners do not respect mental health from the sense of, hey, you're a person that has an illness and you're getting better. They may actually look down on you. I've experienced that. I've had clients that experience that. And you don't have to take that. You can move on. It's okay to move on. Also, something not fitting you. Okay. We'll just say, yes, Pastor.
I'm getting my steps up.
I have a lot of people who will say, oh, I tried it, and then like I said, we look for shortcuts when it comes to mental health. And I think sometimes we look for shortcuts when it comes to any kind of health. We say, okay, how can I achieve this without the effort, and the reality is that if you try to put shortcuts and say, okay, I'm only going to go to this kind of professional, I'm only going to go to a person who thinks this way or does this way. The reality is that taking your mental health into consideration, what works for your neighbor will work for you, what works for someone else will work for you, and the good and bad about psychology is that there's many approaches, many different mentalities, different strategies, and so you might go to a psychologist that's warm and friendly but has a strategy that doesn't work for you. You might go to someone who is mean and kind of blunt, but their strategy is perfect for you. And if you're not willing to go through that process of discovery, then you won't receive the results that you're really hoping for. We need to be patient and diligent and not think that I went to one psychologist, oh, I'm good. Or, oh, I didn't like how this person did it, I'm fine. I don't want to do that anymore. Realizing that if there's 100 psychologists in the room, if there's 50 psychologists and 50 coaches, You may like about one of them, that's it, you know? But it's worth the effort, it's worth the patience to diligently find people, speak to them. Pastors are always good, but they lack some of the clinical approaches, but they can be really good when it comes to biblical counseling. Coaches can be really good when it comes to a lot of different strategies, and they're more about the strategy and more about what can we do. And psychologists listen more. A lot of people complain about psychologists because all they do is say, "Oh, so how did that make you feel?" Okay, and it just kind of reflects you back to yourself so that you can explore what's going on and things like that. But if you don't try, if you don't make that time, make that effort, you won't get the results, and you might be robbing yourself by saying, "Oh, I'm not going to go here," when it's that person specifically that could help you the most.
I love that you brought that up because, that is so true that it's so true that we have options. Isn't that great? We think about it like, I got options. Remember that. It can be difficult. And even with, if you have a loved one, you're a caregiver, right? And your loved one is struggling, just remember you got options, and that can feel really empowering to know that I've got options here. Another thing, mental health is so biblical, okay? Honestly, the world loves to take from the Bible and steal it and make it its own. But when we look, there's so many, okay, let's talk about Elijah, because we're gonna go here on mental health and demon possession. I have so much information in my head, I don't want to just go all over the place, but let's go here really quick. Mental health, okay? Elijah, remember him? He's the one that defeats the Jezebel's people, and she's all mad, and like the fire came down from heaven and everything. It's like amazing. Then he runs away from her for his life, right? And when you go back and look at that story in the Bible, okay, just I dare you to do it later, Google, you're gonna see signs and symptoms that we just read about. That Elijah is experiencing, like literally one of the first things he does is isolates himself, right? And sometimes when you're battling with your mental health, you're having a challenge, you might want to isolate. Here goes another thing to remember, okay? Listen, just because I'm having a mental health challenge doesn't mean I have a mental illness, right? Because we all can get sick, and sickness doesn't necessarily mean that this is a chronic disease that I have. Make sense? So if you're experiencing something for 2 weeks or more, as a lot of times what they like to say, consider the idea of impact, right? Okay, so back to Elijah now. First thing he does is he isolates. And then he says, God, take my life. And then he says a lie. I know better than anybody else. I'm just wretched, right? Which believing lies is what can really affect our mental health, right? So he talks about, I'm the only one serving you, God. Is he the only one serving God? And he says, I'm the only one who is bound my knee to Baal, right? And then what else? He's sleeping excessively. When you go back and look at that story, an angel has to wake him up. He eats, and then he goes back to sleep, and he eats, and he goes back to sleep. That's on there, right? Sleeping excessively. We didn't even know how long in between before the angels waking him up, right? But we do know that whatever was happening, he definitely had for more than 2 weeks, okay? Because these journeys that he's taking, running further away from God, the presence of God, that, it's not like being in a car. It just took me 6 hours to get here. It's taking him a while. You get what I'm saying? And so he was experiencing this thing for a while. And what I love is how God responds to him the way you're going to respond to your family member. God is patient. He takes his time. And we need God's help us with this, right? Because I don't know about you, but I'm learning how to be patient. I'm not even in recovery. I'm not yet. Look, I'm learning. I want it done now, But God is very patient with him, wakes him up. He makes sure he eats well. Note to self-caregivers, is your person eating well? What if that's all you can do? If they don't want to hear you talk about what you learned today in church, but they want to have a good meal with you, take them out to eat. Make them some food that's good. Give them their space if they need it, right? Right? These are lessons that you can learn from the story of Elijah. This is mental health. God gives him space. He didn't come at him with his signs and symptoms on the first program. You asked this question, Pastor. He let him sleep. And now there is a thing as sleeping too much, right? Like, I don't know, some people's cultures, like, you being bummed now, you bummed? Derelict. that thing. God let him sleep. He needed rest, right? And at the right time, he addressed his pathology, his lies believed. And then I love God. Look how powerful he was later, after this experience that he had, goes into the ground, to the dirt, right? Mental health challenge, crisis, you name it. But he winds up birthing the school of the prophets through his protege. Isn't that something? He believes in heaven on a fiery chariot. Have you read about anybody else that did that? That's not long after the chapter where he said, I wish that I could die. So whether it's you or someone you love that's in this midnight of the soul, remember that it doesn't have to end like that. This is where I'm at, but this isn't where I'm staying. And I invite you to speak that over your family member and over your situation. I see that this is what's going on, but this isn't how this is going to end. I just want you to know, I know that God's going to work this out for you. I know He's got a better plan for you. That's what my husband did. When he was telling me on the way to Wildwood that me and God's got a better platform for you, you know what my answer was? Whatever. Roll his eyes. I don't care nothing about that. You know? It was like, oh, praise God, that's so good. Praise God. I didn't care anymore. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to give you some tools now. What time is that? Good. Okay. So we're going to go on break in just a second again, and then we're going to go into part 3. Because we done 1 with Victor. This is part 2. And then we're going to do part 3, which is our last part. This is the mental health first aid acronym, and some of you have taken mental health first aid with me before. Kids go, woo! Yay! Those people that took it with me before, and look, thank you, Daniel. If you can, I want some kids to help us pass this out. Are there some kid volunteers that can help me? Can you come to the front? Kids to the rescue? You're going to give one to every adult, okay? Thank you. Kids to the rescue. Any kids, you don't have to. If you would like to, you can help, okay? You don't have to. But if you would like to. So, Uncle Daniel is going to give you some papers, and the paper that you're getting, kids, can y'all pass it out to every adult? It's a visit one, okay? Good. Thank you, volunteers. So what you're getting is the same acronym that's up here on the PowerPoint. This is the acronym ALGE. I'm going to tell you more about it in just a second. Thank you, my kid volunteers. If you're done, you can please give your extra copies, kids, back to Elder Daniel. Thank you. Watch out for those scores. We want you to finish all. Good job. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Hey, good. Did every adult get one? So I really want you to, when you get a chance, put this somewhere special for you, right? Some of you might be the fridge, so you can always remember it. Some of you might be your bathroom, in your car. I don't know where that special place is for you. But especially if you're a caregiver and you have somebody that is in your life and they're struggling, you want them to know that you know this now. Isn't that helpful? I don't know about you, but people have gotten it wrong, right? But it's because they love. Honestly, people that have kind of like jacked up sometimes, they love you. They want you to have the best outcome. And they're just doing what they do at the time, right? So let's talk about ALGE really fast. And when you take the mental health first aid course with us, then we go deeper into this. We do more case studies. We practice this. We're going to do a little bit here, but we like really go into it, right? And make sure that you know how to do it in all different types of ways. Okay, and for those of you who are practitioners or you have practitioner friends, I do want to still invite you to take the course too. You know why? Because even though you're well-read and well-rested on this information, or your colleague maybe, this gives a good common language of what you want. And you can even, having taken the course yourself, know if it's a good fit for your clients. Make sense? Okay. So really quick, Victor talked about this, and we're going to just talk about it a little bit more, then we're going to take a break. So I'm going to go fast, okay? So what's that first one say? Okay, so very good. So we assess, right? Just like nurses, when people come to the hospital, you have to assess what's going on so you get a good picture. Wouldn't it be bad for somebody to come into you and then say, oh, I know, you're constipated. Yeah, I'll give you some medicine, correct? I'm sorry to put you on, you're not. I'm sorry, that's so terrible. That's pointed at Victor, where's my husband? I can't do it. Like, oh, he's constipated, let me just give you some medicine, right? No, you need to assess. Sometimes we think we already know what's wrong with the person because we've been watching them, but we're not sure. And so you assess by, yes, looking and observing, but asking questions, and you're keeping those signs and symptoms in mind, right? Now listen, algae is nonlinear. Everybody say nonlinear. Nonlinear. Which means it does not have to be done in order. You do not have to do the A first, and then the L, and then the G, and oh, then the E, and then the E. You can do this in any order that makes sense for your situation, okay? So maybe you've been watching your friend, and you've noticed that they're not coming to church, and when you go to visit them, their house smells like marijuana, and that's not normal for them, or whatever. So now you can assess by asking the question, how easy is that? How are you doing? I've been missing you. I haven't seen you. I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? But a deeper assessment, if I'm in the conversation and we're talking and they're sharing with me, and I see that they're saying, I haven't been sleeping, I haven't been eating, I just smoke all day, you know, I'm very angry, I almost took somebody's head off at the store, and if they got one more time to blah, 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 you know, I just wish I didn't have to wake up anymore, I just wish I had to be here. Oh, what did you say? You wish, okay, wow. L, listen without judgment. And then G, give reassurance. Thank you for telling me. I'm just so glad you shared that with me. I'm so glad we can be here talking. When you listen without judgment, you didn't say, you what? Come on, man, you're a Christian. Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. You see? You see how that was distasteful even for you? You would say, you know, you need to listen without judgment. We're going to listen to whatever they have to say, even if it's repulsive to us, right? You know, the person may be a part of a community that you're not comfortable with. I've been attending some meetings with LGBTQ+, and I'm thinking about, you know, for us as a person who may be very uncomfortable with that idea, we don't want to shut them down. We want to keep the door open by listening without judgment. And then giving reassurance, I'm just so glad you told me. I'm so glad we can talk right now. And then E, encourage appropriate professional help. Now, I told you professional help. You tell me, who could we refer them to?
It's primary care.
You tell me. There we go. I heard it. Primary care physician. Who else? Somebody said it. You said it. Did you say crisis line? Did you?
Support.
Oh, you tell me anyone.
Free counseling, support groups,
Crisis line, 988, good, perfect.
life coaches.
Life coach, what else?
Have they talked with their pastor?
Ooh, they can talk with their pastor, yes, which I do encourage that too, because you know what? A pastor also has resources. Now, I do want to say this because it's something pastors spoke on, and I have met people who had a bad experience with their pastor because maybe the pastor hadn't gotten the information that we have here. So certain pastors are, you all are very blessed. Your pastor is very open, and he studies and he prays and he knows about mental health, that this is not an issue devoid of the Bible. But there are places where the pastor's not aware of that yet. Awareness, not aware yet. And so the answer could be different. And so consider that could be the case. Okay? And then lastly, the E, encourage self-help strategies. Self-help strategies. So this one's really powerful and not to be underestimated. What are some things that help you all to feel better? Just in general. Like if you're just laughing, what else? Walking.
Listening to inspirational music.
Listening to inspirational music. What else?
Chatting with a friend.
Chatting with a friend. And laughing. Yes. Y'all are happy with your dancing? Yes. All right, y'all. Watch out. What else? say swimming? Sleeping, yes, absolutely. Self-help strategies are things that actually help a person feel better. One thing that I love is the acronym New Start. New Start, and I don't have a slide on that one, but you can Google it. And New Start is N is for nutrition, E is for exercise, W is for water, T is for temperance, not doing too much, right? You're balanced, right? And then the next one is A, am I A, S-C-A? A, is it S now? S, sunshine, thank you, help me out, I don't know where I'm at. And then T, did I say that one already? Temperance, and then A is for air, right? Being able to get good, fresh, quality air. It infuses your brain, right? And then R is for rest, right? And then the last T, trust in God, trust in divine power, as it were. And so New Start, you can literally Google that. New Start is a great self-help strategy. And all of them work, all of them. Maybe don't try to do them all at once, right? Pick two, you know what I'm saying? But man, just being able to get outside is so important and underestimated. And why am I telling you this? You may already know it, but now you can do this with your friend. You know, but when you went over their house and it smells like marijuana, hey, you wanna go on a walk? Let's go on a walk, right? It's gonna make them feel better just right there if they'll do it. Hey, you wanna go out to eat? I'll buy it this time. I'll put it in. Right? Hey, man. Oh. Right. Wow, you know what? I don't know about you, but I'm just trying to get my exercise on. What if we come together and walk every morning? What if I come over here with you and we walk in the evening? Because guess what else you're giving them? A desire for the next day. Live to see the next day. That is so important. That's your job. That's what you're trying to do, is help that person to want to be here just a little bit longer. Caregiver, that's what you're thinking about. How can we make plans for the future, right? When a person is potentially suicidal. Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you. I had a question about the allergy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I have a situation. A buddy of mine, he was having some issues that were observable that something was going on. So we were in a group, and some negativity came in that wasn't there before. He used to say things that it's not usually him, and we saw something was going on. And guys are a little bit more direct. They're not, and spoken aside, I said, hey, okay, something's going on with you. I don't want to look at that. And he said, everything's all right. But the next week, the same thing happened. We noticed things were different. And I approached him again and said, hey, but I know you said what you said, but I think something's coming out that you're not seeing. Could you, take a look at that? And all this was good. I was enjoying him and I got just saying, but he got upset. He got angry, and that kind of spiraled into problems. And I left it alone. So my question is, what do you do if you're trying to point something out without judgment and all the good stuff, but someone's upset about it?
That's right. That's an excellent question. I love that. So there's a couple of things I want to say, and this is good because we go over more of this too in the training, but I do want to answer your question. And this is the way because we go through scenarios, right? In the training, we go through different, so if this and that. But in this case, so this is good. People are going to get on the defensive, right? Nobody wants to be the one, right? So one way I might approach that is I see this is happening with my friend, like, hey, you sure you're all right? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything that you're in need of? Or is there any way that I can be of help to you right now? I don't need your help. What do you, I can ask you for no help. I understand. I just want you to know I'm here. Leave it alone. Mic drop, right? Because the goal of a friend or the goal of a first aider, the goal of a caregiver is to let them know the door is always open. I am always here for you. If you need something, I am here and I am safe for you to go to. Does that make sense? And so your goal is to make sure you are a safe person. Because some people already think of you a certain way. You know that, right? Some people already see you as that friend who thinks they're better than everybody else, right? Not you, you know, but I'm saying. And so what you want to do is position yourself as someone who is safe. I'm safe because when you talk to me, I don't keep interrupting you. I listen to you. I don't have my phone on while you're talking to me. And oh yeah, what did you say again? You know what I'm saying? I'm safe because when you tell me something, you don't hear about it in the street later. You know what I'm saying? And I'm safe because when you tell me something, I can tell. When I tell you something, you also tell me something. You're not the therapist friend. We share, right? We both are people, humans needing help. You're not the, I'm here to help you, right? Does that make sense? But we are here together. We are in this thing, and I'm safe. And your business is safe with me. And your problem is safe with me, you know? And I'm safe because I'm not going to just put God down your throat. But I am going to be in my closet praying in the storm, right? Maybe not in front of you, you know what I'm saying? But I am going to, and man, the Holy Spirit is so powerful because He'll open up the door. And because you showed yourself to be safe and non-judgmental, and you just said, you know, okay, I understand, no problem, you know, if everything's good, I got trust in you, just know I'm here for you. I'm here. That's a seed, mighty mustard seed that can spring forth, right? We know that there are some people whose mental health is so severe that they do actually need to be hospitalized. And they actually need to be hospitalized just to be alive, unfortunately. There are people whose mental health is so severe that they live in the hospital. That is where they live, right?
That approach is requesting a person's permission.
What did you say?
That approach also solicits a person's permission to engage if there's a need.
Yes, that's beautiful. I like how you said it. If I'm understanding you correctly, I want to say it a little differently. In therapy, those free things I told you about, this was so good. Look at what they taught us to do. They said, ask the person, are you open? Are you open? Like, hey, I'm going to talk to you about something, but it's a bit difficult. Are you open to hearing something that you may not want to hear? Oh man, here you go. Okay, don't worry about it. You know, just know that I'm here for you. Right? Are you open? That's a good one. Is that kind of what you mean, like
Yes.
giving a person's permission?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
that's good.
there is an observation of a need, ask the person's permission.
Even when it comes to prayer, they may not be open to it, but it doesn't stop you from asking.
Yeah.
But if they know.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Get permission. Get permission. Hey, can I ask you something? Why are you asking me? Can you ask me? Right? All right, good. That's really good. Okay, it's break time again, and I see your hand. So, can we go on break and then start with your question when we come back? Then you want to get it now? Come on, let's do it.
All right, you had mentioned differentiated mental illness versus mental challenge. Yeah, so looking at again, do we have to be able to differentiate it before we find the correct approach?
Well, that's a perfect question, thank you. So this is so good, thank you for that, that's a great question. Your question is, hey, do I have to be able to tell whether or not this is mental illness or mental health disease, or, you know, you have to be able to tell the difference? And the answer is no, because algae is for us. For the people who are not a physician, a clinician, a therapist, right? Therapists use this also. They use algae, but they call it something different, they do something a little different. But this is algae for the everyday person. You don't have to know anything about mental health to use algae. In fact, that's why it was created, for the lay person to be able to help somebody. Because guess what? You're not there to be their therapist and resolve an issue with them. If that happens, hallelujah, right? Thank God. But your role is there to help them get the help they need and to know, how do I refer, right? You're there as a helper, a listening ear. And so you don't have to know if this is a crisis or not. But now, when we come back from our break, we are gonna talk about prices, because that's what Pastor asked. How do we know what steps to take when, right? So we're gonna touch on that briefly, right? And it's gonna make you have more questions, because you gotta take the class, okay? You gotta take this, you gotta get certified. But we still wanna answer those questions and make sure you still leave here with some good information, okay? So just remember, before we take our break, algae is non-linear. You do not have to do it in order. Maybe you will just start off listening. Maybe you start off referring because, there's not much time, right? Maybe you'll just give reassurance and information and that's it. I'm just so glad you told me. And the information is this. Hey, there's some resources that I learned about. I'm gonna send you a picture that you might want to check out for your friend or your cousin or your niece, your nephew, right? Giveaway, yes, there's another giveaway. So make sure you come back. Yes, okay, good. So come back for the last segment, okay? Last segment is what we're gonna go over. We're gonna talk about, okay, what do I do with this crisis? How do I know that this isn't just a conversation and walk away? What do I do? We're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna entertain this demon possession thing. We're gonna talk more about that, okay? And then we're also gonna do a big Q&A. So if you have just random questions that you wanna ask, I'm here, but we also have professionals here in the audience who are amazing. So I wanna, if they had something, if they have a great answer to a question that may come up, I wanna also let them be able to answer, okay? So that's what we're doing when we come back. And somebody's gonna win these gifts over here. And remind me, I have to talk to you about 5.2 a little bit more from a physiological standpoint. How does it work? Okay, so I'll see you. You don't wanna take 10 minutes or 5?